So today I'm out here in the barn. I need to start getting our new Sydell lambing jug set up because yesterday, January 4th, was basically the earliest date that we could start expecting lambs based off when we put the rams in with them. Ideally the date is January 13th based off the calendar that I use, but it also says that you can start looking for lambs as early as January 4th. So we're going to go ahead and start getting that stuff set up in here so that way we're ahead and we're ready and prepared for when the ewes start lambing. So of course most of these ewes aren't going to go ahead and have lambs that early. A lot of them will probably be a lot closer to that January 13th date if they were bred on the first day that I put the ram in with them. But today, January 5th, and over the next 24 to 36 hours, we're expected to get between 8 and 12 inches of snow here. And of course that is going to be when, if one of these ewes have a lamb, we'll be right in the middle of that. So of course we're out here. I want to get ahead of it, get everything set up. Especially since one of the first ewes in our weather type ewe group that was marked has been acting a little strange here. So I'm not going to go over and bother her, but that was the first ewe that was marked the first day that we put the ram in with them, and she's been off by herself. Basically last night I noticed when I fed, she kind of been hanging over in the corner. She came up and eat, no big deal. But I noticed that she really started developing udder in the last basically 24 hours. And all the other ewes are kind of congregating over here, and she's just over there by herself in the corner. And so that's why I know that once you start seeing some of them get over here, of course they're probably uncomfortable just here at the end of their gestation cycle, but I just want to be ready for when lambs pop. So one thing we're trying a little bit different this year is we're doing our lambing in two different groups. On this side of the barn over here, I have all of our registered Suffolks in one pen. This is all of them here off on their own side, and what I want to do is on this corner set up 2 lambing jugs and work out of here with them. And then in this larger pen, I do have 3 of my commercial Suffolk ewes in here, but all the rest of these ewes are those crossbred ewes. They're all over here. And this year we wanted to try this just because we've had instances in the past where, like, especially these crossbred ewes, they'll lay down, have a set of lambs. Another ewe will lay down right next to them, have a set of lambs. And so we just wanted to make sure that everybody was separated because it'll be a lot easier to tell, especially with this group of Suffolks, which lamb belongs to which ewe because their dates are a little bit more spread out. Where a lot of these ewes, there'd be 2 or 3 marked in an evening. And we just did this just for ease of our record keeping, kind of keeping everybody separate. And also because the ewes need a different nutrition. These weather type ewes are a little bit smaller than those Suffolks. They don't require as much energy, as much feed, and it's made it a little bit easier to feed a little bit differently to keep everybody in a good body condition score going throughout this pregnancy, monitor it a little bit more, and just make sure that everybody was getting the nutrition that they needed. So to get ready for that storm yesterday, I brought over a bunch of square bales, got them set up right here for us. Something else we're trying a little bit different this year. Over the last couple weeks, I ended up purchasing a bunch of these large 3x3x6 square bales. They're all about 1,000 pounds each. I purchased 14 of them. I got them set up here, and we're going to start transitioning over into those bales and using those once these ewes all start having their lambs. I didn't want to change up their hay just because right here at the end of their gestation period, I didn't want to change anything that was going on, just leave everything the same till we get through lambing. So I have plenty of hay here in the barn, plenty of straw here for them, but I also wanted to make sure that I had plenty of the regular square bales that they've been used to here. So I got those moved over here. I took an extra round bale, rang over for the cows because I want to be able to put out 2 round bales. That way I know I have feed out for them. They don't have to really move around too much. Also went and got an extra 1,000 pounds of feed yesterday, basically to help carry us through. We weren't going to need feed until about Tuesday or Wednesday. This way I know I don't have to worry about going to go get feed in case it takes a little bit longer with the snow or we have any kind of electrical issues. That was one thing I needed to do yesterday, was basically spend about 12 hours yesterday getting everything ready to go. So we just basically don't have to go get anything. Everything is sitting where it needs to be basically for the next week. And all we got to do is focus on making sure everybody's comfortable and taking care of them and taking care of ourselves. So back when we picked up that second mature weather type ram, that gentleman was getting out of raising lambs, and so he had a bunch of equipment that he was wanting to sell. So we took a look at it, and Rachel and me ended up purchasing all of his lambing jugs. He had these Sydell panel lambing jugs. This is, I believe, the 400 or the 404 style gate where it has the bigger loops at the top, so you can flip this gate over, use them as creep feeders, or that head chute that I bought last year will snap into those, so that way I can transfer it from jug to jug to jug whenever I might need it, and it'll fit perfectly in there. We ended up getting a whole bunch of feeders and bucket holders that all mount to this system, and this system is the style that has a set pins here where I can actually cut it off in the back corner and flip one of those creep gates over, so that way the lamb can get in the back and the ewe can't get to it in case we need that. You know, it's basically the system that we were wanting to purchase. We just ended up buying his whole setup. There's only one issue. The way his barn was set up, these are like the end terminals that he had mounted into the wood walls. Those gates will set in between here, and then you can put your pin through to start the jug system. I don't have a wood wall system like that here. I just have these wood gates, and so what I need to do is cut some 2x4s, mount that bracket to them, and then that way I can mount those to the wood gates or panels that I have and build off of that. And then that way we'll be able to use the pin system that are built and designed into these gates from there for the rest of the jugs. This is just kind of like a terminal in that I'll have to put for the where I don't have a gate for them to hook into. So my plan and what I'm thinking is I can use some wire, maybe another screw, to put this 2x4 up against one of the other wood gates I have to mount it. And then, like I said, I can connect this. I made sure that it was the same height as the feet on the 6-foot panels. That actually looks pretty good like that. I really like that. It'll be able to basically, it's just going to act as a hinge and, like I said, as an end post to connect it into the whole system. And then the rest of the jugs, the ends of these panels have 2 hooks on them, so I can just build off of them. But I really just needed a way to basically get it started. So with these 2x4s, I've been cutting them at 4 foot just because going forward, these gates that I'm making for the pins, I'm starting to make them at 4 foot tall, just because with, like, especially these Suffolks, this 38-inch tall gate really isn't that big of a deal for them to hop over whenever they want. And we had a lot of problems with that with these lambs this last year. So I want to start making everything at 4 foot. So I just went ahead and cut these 2x4s for the brackets at 4 foot so it'll match going forward. And also so I'm able to have a little bit more wood exposed around that metal bracket so I can use wire screws to mount it however I need to. I need to make, I think, like 7 of these today, but what I'm going to do is basically complete one whole pin first. So I'm only going to need to make another one real quick, and so that way we can get it set up just to make sure that in the real world, once I set up here in the pin, that they're all going to work, and then I'll build the rest based off of that. Please. So as I started setting this up, my camera died, so I switched over to my phone. One thing that happened with that first 6-foot panel, the side piece, was I noticed that these metal brackets that I put on this morning, those were only for basically the smaller gates, the 4-footers. It does not fit basically around the bar where the mounting brackets are on the 6-foot gates. So before last year, when I made these bigger 12-foot wooden gates, I made sure that there was a brace every 4 feet, thinking ahead for lambing jugs, because all of ours were always 4 feet wide. So what I ended up doing was just wiring in this 6-foot piece right there to the 4-foot brace. That's where that bracket that I was putting together was going to be at. That's on me, just because I only checked the bracket on the front pieces. I never even thought about checking it if it would be a little bit different or not. And it's basically because those 6-foot gates have 2 nuts welded onto it, so you can slide the pin down through, and the width of the bracket starts hitting the metal rod the nuts are welded onto, and so it's a little bit off. I could have probably made it work by wiring or something, but I figured I'd just go ahead. If I was going to have to wire it anyway, I might as well just wire it here to the post, make it a little bit easier and one less step. And I basically made a weird cross post there for the first bracket to be on, because these main side pieces are 6 foot, and that is a 10-foot gate. And so the middle brace on that gate against the wall there is at 5 feet. So I used a couple scrap 2x4s, cut a little brace there, and made it so that way I could wire that back piece of 2x4 there to the brace that's welded into the gate. And then I wired the front piece, so it's all connected. And the reason why I did this is I didn't want this to be slid back by ewes pushing against it, or the ewe that would be in here with her lamb pushing and being able to slide it that way, messing up all the rest of the lambing jugs. And basically, it'd make a pinch point. And that's one thing you want to eliminate, because if there's a will, there's a way. And sometimes these ewes get a little crazy, and the lambs get a little crazy when they're being born. And I didn't want one to basically suffocate another one by getting it pinched up in there. So that's how I originally started the gate, brought it over, it snaps in there, comes down. My plan is for all the gates to open this way. I'll be able to pull the pins there and open them, all tied in together. And then, like I said, if I needed to set a little creep area up in, here's one of those extra set of nuts welded on the top and on the bottom. And I can put one of those gates upside down so the lambs can pass through those top holes across this back portion, and they can get in here. And, you know, it's all going to work out good for us. And we were planning on trying to buy just a couple of these, basically 2 or 3 total. So that way this year we could start using them. Right now, I only got 2 set up just because there's a lot more used in this pin than the Suffolk pin. I'm only going to have a total of 2 of these in the Suffolk pin. So I'm going to set up one over there today, so we just have a jump start on it. But in here, I want to set up at least a 3rd one. Probably not today, but as we start having lambs, we'll be able to build out. I think I got enough for 6 or 7 total of these lambing jugs right now, especially with using that gate that we bought last year. So we'll be able to build this out as needed, and it'll be a lot easier to get them opened. We won't have to be finding gates or making gates in the middle of the night when a ewe's having lambs, figuring out a way to get them pinned off. And also, what this is helping us do is free up all the extra gates and panels that we have currently. So if I do have to panel one off so that way they are sick or need a little extra attention over in the corner of one of these pins, I have plenty of gates to do that. Make it a little bit less stressful on us, and hopefully a lot easier on getting these ewes moved in these pins, because it's pretty standard and everything fits together really nicely. because it's all manufactured there by Sydell, and you know, it works out great for us. We've had great luck with their stuff. So we were just looking for a way for when it's 4 degrees out, 5 a.m., how can we make this easier? And this is what we came up with, and we were just glad we were able to buy them and get as many as we did by buying them there from Gary when we picked up that ram. So everything's pretty nice with this set right now. I got it set up. What I also need to do, though, is I need to move this feeder I have over to the far side. That way they get used to the feeder being over there, and when I start separating off ewes with their lambs, they'll be over there on that side of the pen. The feeder will already be over there for me, and it'll free up more room to put lambing jugs up the side of this panel. And what I was hoping for is that I'd have time this last week, basically over the holidays, to get another 8 and 12 foot heavy, 4 foot tall, 2x4 made panel set up so I could do this whole side here for the Suffolks and have this whole side with like the same basically setup as over there with a bigger pin. But I haven't gotten that done yet. So just to be ahead, what I want to do is I'm just going to go ahead and take this extra bracket that I made that didn't work over there, and it will work here because I'm going to plan on basically screwing it into this panel right where it needs to go, right at 6 foot, wiring it in, put a couple screws in there so it won't move around, and then I'll build that first panel off. And then I actually have a 2x4 6 foot panel that I want to put off that hay rack out and put one of these brackets on the end and have it ready. So basically it'll go a 2x4 foot panel out with one of these brackets on it. So then that way I can put one of the 4 foot doors in the front, the 6 foot Sydell panel out in the middle, and then this bracket will be here on this panel so we can put one of those 4 foot doors there. That way we'll be able to hang the feeder and the pans and everything that came with all this stuff on that middle section. I don't have to worry about these other ewes getting in and stealing feed from the ewes in there with their lambs. So it's really starting to snow here at the house right now. I decided to go ahead and push pause on getting this lambing jug set up here for the Suffolks. We went ahead and got everybody watered here, and I'm gonna run down to the bank barn and get everybody taken care of down there before too much more snow falls, and while I still have plenty of daylight left in case I run into an issue there. So I got all the replacement ewes that are down to the bank barn taken care of, fresh bedding. I closed that barn all up. I was kind of in a rush to get all that done. I still have 3 Suffolk ram lambs down there. The last one that we had out on lease came back last Sunday. They're off in a group on their own, and then the weather type rams. So I got everybody taken care of, fresh bedding, closed the barn all up. Now what I'm going to do is roll another round bale out for the cows. I picked this round bale ring up back in probably April from an auction, because when we had more cows here and more steers, I would feed hay down on the bank barn floor a lot, and I would use like panels with hay, you know, slide throughs for them to get in and get to the hay. And then I had a round bale feeder up here. Well, with this group of 5 cows that we have now, I don't really want to have a roll of bale all the way down to the feeding floor. So I wanted to pick up a second ring because you can see in that first ring, my red ring over there, there's still about a quarter of a bale or so left in the bottom of that. And basically they'll eat that down tonight. And with this weather, I'd have to come over tomorrow, try to roll out another bale for them. So I wanted a second ring so I could basically double dip on them, get one out, and about 3 or 4 days later, when I have time and the weather's right, get a second one out. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and roll one out now and put it in that ring there for them. And that should be able to get us through this snow and carry us through the rest of the week at least with having that hay out there for them. So now to stand back and see if this is going to work out the way I want it to. I still want them to eat there out of that red ring, finish that hay off. That's the whole reasoning, to have both rings up here so I don't have to waste any hay. With the drought that we had this year, I have plenty of round bales, but still I just don't want to waste any. A lot of my busted bales, or bales that just aren't good enough for the ewes and the lambs, I got those off on the side in the barn. So if need be, to entice them to eat the rest of that in the red ring there, I'll throw a couple of those in on top of it. That'll get them back over there. But with this being new, brand new out here for them, of course they're all going to go hit it first, but that's the way it goes. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything closed up over here and head back home, so that way I can finish off those lambing jugs and feed for the evening over there. So here's the Suffolk's first jug all set up. Like I said, I'm going to put a second one in probably in the next week. I'll install it. Here's what I'll have over against that hay rack. I put the bracket here, screwed it straight into this 2x4. We'll mount it right there off the end of that, bring it out. And then I'm going to actually use the front panel that I wanted to use for here, but I saw that there was an issue. This is that front panel that I wanted to use. It has this head catch. It's a little bit larger. It goes a full length. I think it might be a little bit easier to use with these Suffolks because they're bigger overall ewe, and their lambs are usually a little bit bigger. And so when I put that in the middle or over on the side a little bit, I don't have to worry about one of them getting out the lambs into the general pen like I would with these crossbred ewes over here. But the reason why this wouldn't work is this is a full-size panel height-wise, and I just noticed that he had added a couple of these little straps on it, and that's how he had it tied in. And so they're on this end, but there's none on this end. So I'm gonna have to pick up a couple of those straps and put on that end so that way I can use it right there on that side. And it's more like an insurance policy just to have that head gate there. Last year I ended up not even needing to use that head gate that I purchased, but a couple times it would have been nice to use if I would have had all these panels like I do now where it would accept it and I can jump it from pin to pin. So I just want to basically get the most use out of this stuff to basically reduce any kind of stress on the ewes and on us. You know, if we're in here stripping a ewe and she's really fighting us, not wanting to let the lambs latch, we'll have this over here so we'll be able to use it. Or if she's in the different pin, we'll be able to use that little head catch that I got that will bolt right in the top. Just kind of trying to use all the tools that we have to make this process very stress-free and, you know, go really smooth. So then over here for these weather type ewes set up, I got the pins all together here. Got the basket right there. Got a basket there, hay basket. I put the water and feed buckets right there next to each other so I could still use this middle divider if needed. I'm not really sure if I like that yet, just because I might have to move this white bucket over and slide that one down, because if I end up needing to put that barrel in here with the heat lamp in it, I'd probably put it right here in the corner so I could strap both barrels together around this one post to kind of hold them down. But, you know, we'll just have to see. Like I said, trial and error. Got everything set up right now. Got everything over here for them. We're pretty prepared. And these girls have been checking this out. This has been set up a little bit longer than the Suffolk one. So, you know, they've already got their sniffs in on it and looked around. But I really like this setup. I'm really excited to be able to use it. I'm hoping it's going to make things a little bit easier on us. And this is that head catch I purchased last year. This just goes right out there over the front in those bigger holes there in the top. It'll slide in there and it pins in with these pins, and like gravity hooks over the top there. I can strap it down if need be, but you know, I can run a used head through there and holder so we can get a lamb to latch. And that's what's really nice about these panels with all these openings in the top. We're able to take that head catch to any panel that has those openings and hook it up and use it. And so that's what's really nice about this whole lambing jug system, is that everything's interchangeable from one pin to the next. I don't have to have a whole bunch of these little head chutes. I don't have to have, you know, one for each pin. I can move everything around. And that's one thing I really liked about this system. And like I said, I'm glad I was able to get all this stuff, get it set up, and be able to use it this year. So in total today, I was able to get these 3 jugs set up, and it will be really easy to expand where they all snap in together. So that way we have our final numbers. For these Suffolks, like I said, I'm only going to do 2 because I'm just going to do the second one over there next to the hay rack, and then I'll split off that corner so the ewes with their lambs can have that hay rack, and we'll work our way around, giving them plenty of room, and we'll just see how it goes. It's kind of a trial and experiment this year with all this stuff. We've got a lot of new equipment. It's really nice, though, to be this far ahead of lambing. I think last year when I walked in the barn one day, I started grabbing gates to set it up because there was lambs on the ground. I wasn't set up and ready to go, but this blizzard or this snow really helped push us forward a little bit this weekend to make sure that we wanted to be far enough ahead and ready to go in case the lamb did come. And we've got some really cold temperatures coming up in the next week also. And so, you know, we just figured we have all this stuff. Let's go ahead and take the time and get everything set up and where it needs to be so we can also see how it works. And like I said, I'm glad that I did take the time today to do it because, like I said, a couple things like those brackets don't work with the 6-foot gates. This one head gate here doesn't have those little clips on it, so I wasn't able to hook it up like I wanted to. And, you know, it's a lot better to find that out today when I'm not in a rush and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and it's 4 degrees out and these lambs are cold. So, you know, I'm really glad able to get this far ahead, but so far all we got to do now is sit back and wait on the snow to come, get these guys fed for the evening. It's been a very productive day. Thanks for tuning in. Well, that'll wrap this one up. Thanks for watching.